Hi, this is Mariah Gullo from The Hollywood Reporter, and I'm in studio today with Sara Paxton. Hey, how's it going?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I'm here to talk about The Front Runner with you, your new movie. So tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this project, because it is based on real, true events movie.
Yeah.
So how did you
get involved? Well, it's interesting. You know, the movie takes place. It's a true story, and it takes place during the 1988 presidential campaign, and I was born in 1988, so I don't have any actual
you don't have any memories or reference,
or like recollections of this time. But it's funny. A couple of years ago, I was in my car driving, and I was listening to this podcast called Radio Lab, and the episode was about Gary Hart and Donna Rice and everything that happened, and I'm driving, and I must have been like going to an audition or something. I had like 10 outfits in my backseat, and I'm like, driving my car listening to this thing, and I thought it was so fascinating. It was such an interesting story, and I remember wondering to myself, why I didn't know about this beforehand and why this wasn't talked about more. And then I, went about, my day, and I didn't think about it again until a year after that I got the script sent to me for The Front Runner, and I was so excited because I was familiar with the story because of the podcast. And then I auditioned. I went in and I read with Jason, and I was just so excited to go read for him that I didn't even think, I wasn't even like, I was like, I wasn't thinking, hope I get it. I was just like, this would be a dream come true, but it's really exciting just to even go and read for somebody like him with this material,
Almost
so I was
like it's good practice.
I was just like, whatever happens, like this, if this is the end of the line, then that's great. This is also a wonderful thing, for me, and a dream come true. And then I got a call. They wanted me to do a chemistry test, a screen test with J.K. Simmons and Molly Ephraim, who plays Irene Kelly.
Yes.
And so I was like, that's also wonderful. That's great. I'll go do that. And that was amazing. And then a little while later, like that same day, I was like, whatever happens, happens. And as long as I did my best, like I'm proud of myself. And then the phone rang when I was home, and I got the part, and I was like holding my dog, like jumping and crying. So that's my long-winded story about
Amazing. When did you know that Hugh Jackman was going to play Gary Hart?
I knew when they sent me the script. He was
so
already
you'd
attached.
known that ahead of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about the responsibility that you have to play a real-life character. So you play Donna Rice.
Right.
And she's a real-life character. She's still alive, and she has seen this movie. So what was it like kind of going in, creating a character, knowing that this person actually existed? Or did you actually meet her beforehand?
Well, right after I finished jumping up and down celebrating with my dog, the reality set in that I was going to be playing a real person, this woman who is alive and well and can watch my performance and, see what I'm saying about the film. And I got really nervous. It's so intimidating. It feels like a really big responsibility, especially when my part in the film is the darkest moment of her life. And I felt like I had to do it justice. I did as much research as I could. There's not a whole lot out there about Donna from that time. I think because it was, just pre-internet, and so there's not really a lot.
Right. And what exists is very tabloidy.
Exactly. It's not what's in the version of Donna that we are portraying, what's in the script. So I did what I could, but really I just used the script as my roadmap, and what I cared the most about was just capturing the empathy of this woman in this situation. And I haven't met Dawn, I haven't spoken to her. Before we started filming, I talked to Jason about it, and we decided that if I was going to meet her, it wasn't going to help me because I wasn't looking to like mimic her or like do an impersonation of her, I was just, like I said, I just kind of wanted to capture the empathy and, what was happening with Donna in that moment. So I didn't meet her, but I heard that Jason called me and he told me that she has seen the film and that she loved it, and that she was really happy with my portrayal of her. And so that's all I could ask for. That made it so gratifying, knowing that she was happy, because she's the critic that I was the most worried about.
Right, right. Yeah, what Jason Reitman has said is that she was happy that she was portrayed compassionately. What does that mean to you, portrayed compassionately?
I think that at the time when all this happened, I think that she was portrayed as kind of like a caricature. Like a one-dimensional person. She was kind of like this villain, this bimbo.
Or floozy,
yeah. She was like this bimbo who brought down the campaign, and I was so, when I first read the script, knowing what I knew about the story, I was so happy reading how she was portrayed. She was written with dignity and respect, and she was a person who was so much more than what she was portrayed as. She was a smart, highly educated, ambitious woman, a woman with agency who had, dreams of advancing herself and potentially getting involved in politics. And I think what I'm so excited about this film is I feel like she's finally getting the voice that she didn't have 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, you finally kind of get to see her side of the story.
Yeah.
There's a scene where you are being interrogated basically by J.K. Simmons, and that's kind of the most dramatic point. Can you tell me a little bit about how you had to dig into your character in order to do that scene?
Honestly, I didn't feel like I had to dig very far. I mean, when I read the script, I felt like I connected with Donna immediately.
You could relate.
Yeah,
you could relate to what she's saying.
Totally, I could totally relate to her, and it just boom, it hit me. And so I didn't feel like I needed to dig very deep. I mean, it also helps that J.K. Simmons is the actor that I'm acting opposite, this, incredible Academy Award-winning powerhouse man, so that helps. But yeah, I related to her a lot. I mean, I think that a lot of women can relate to Donna in her situation, and I could, and but also the actor in me relates to her, because I've been doing this for a really long time. I mean, I started acting when I was 6, so I was most of my whole life I've been doing this, and when you're an actor, people are always wanting to put you in a box, and pigeonhole you, and kind of tell you who you are and what you're good at, and that kind of thing. And Donna was a person who was trying to avoid being pigeonholed and being placed in a box her whole life. I mean, in that scene, I have a line where I say, I did everything that I could do to avoid having men look at you the way that you're looking at me right now. So it's just so tragic. She spent her whole life trying to not be placed in a box, and then she gets trapped in that box for the rest of her life.
Yeah, yeah. Both parties, Gary Hart and Donna Rice, have to this day denied that they had a sexual relationship. But the thing that was really the evidence, and I say that in quotes, that people, took to was the photo of them on the boat together, because she's sitting on his lap. That wasn't filmed for the movie. Is there a reason why they didn't do that? Yeah.
The reason is that this movie takes place in just a 3-week span of time, 3 weeks before the primary election.
Right.
And in that 3 weeks, he's the front runner, he's on top, the scandal breaks, the campaign is completely derailed. And in real life, the photo didn't come out until several weeks after this time, so that's why.
Right, came out months later.
Yeah.
But you do have a boat scene with Hugh Jackman where
I do.
You're both on the boat together. What was that like? What I love about Jason Reitman as a director is his style is to just create so much activity and movement around the main characters. So you're seeing this whole tableau of people just buzzing and talking and walking and action around the characters, and then you just kind of, frame into the character. So what was it like filming that scene? It seemed very dynamic.
Yeah. It's interesting because the way we filmed it was actually it wasn't planned to be like that as far as I knew. I mean, we shot coverage of me on the boat that is not in the film, and I think it's a good thing. I love the way it ends up, where you see this woman and you're like, oh gosh, it's her, and we just zoom in on Hugh's face and nothing is said, but you know exactly what's going on. Right. And I think it makes a much stronger impact that you meet Donna right in the middle of the interrogation. You just really, really feel for her. Yeah.
There's so many different opinions represented in this movie. It's about privacy. It's about how the press deals with celebrities or politicians. Yeah. It's how politicians deal with the press. What did you learn from making this movie? Like, did you have any questions that popped up or questions that were answered?
I learned so much, and I still have so many questions. But I think and Jason would say himself that that's the point of this film, is that it doesn't answer any of these questions, and there is no classic hero or classic villain. It merely asks the questions and then puts them up for debate for the audience. So, yes, I mean, I saw the movie for the first time, and my head was spinning. I have so many questions, but I learned a lot. I mean, I guess because I was born in '88, I mean, at that time, the 24-hour news cycle was, by the time I was cognizant of the news, the 24-hour news cycle was already, in effect. So it just didn't even occur to me that there had been a time when it wasn't what it is now. I mean, obviously, people used to get their information, their news from the newspaper hitting the stand, and you have to wait for it, and that was how you got it. But, things like CNN were just in their infancy when I was a baby. Mm-hmm. So I learned a lot about that. And now things have taken off even further with social media.
Yeah.
It just keeps changing.
Yes, it just keeps getting more and more precise or instant.
Instant, yeah.
It's just getting more and more instant.
I know, yeah. If it went from newspaper to, now it's like every hour there seems to be a new story.
Before I let you go, I just want to ask you a few questions about your career.
Yeah.
First job that made you think, I've made it?
That's a good question. I guess that's hard because I've been doing this for such a long time that I think that you kind of train yourself as an actor to not really have that thought, because the only thing that I've ever cared about was having a long career and just to consistently be working, and I've been so lucky to have that. I've cared more about okay, my career is like a ladder and every step is kind of this rung that I'm climbing, and so I kind of try to think about it more like that. But I do remember the first time I thought to myself I think I could do this as a career. When I was younger, I started acting because I'm an only child, and I spent my childhood with the television and watching the same VHS tapes over and over and over again and just rewinding them and putting them back in. And so I just love movies.
Anything come to mind?
What I used to watch. Well, I think my taste was a little different when I was younger. I mean, being a kid, I went from watching Ace Ventura: Pet Detective 2 to no. But when I was raised on sort of old Hollywood. I loved Judy Garland and Grace Kelly and John Wayne and The Quiet Man, and Gone with the Wind. Those were the things that I was watching, and I just loved watching these starlets, these actresses, and so that's sort of where my dream sort of began. And then I started I just kind of fell into it because I don't know if this is dumb story, but my aunt owns a children's clothing store in LA. And when me and my cousins were really little kids, we did like a print ad for the newspaper. So we were just like, like modeling the clothes. And the photographer gave my cousin his card to do like acting classes or something, and I got really jealous. I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know like you could do that. So then I started doing it because of that. And
Nice.
yeah, so when it wasn't until I got a little bit older, I did this movie called Aquamarine where I was a mermaid, that I started thinking, I was like 16, and I was like, oh, like I think I want to, this could be a career. Like I love this. I want to do this forever.
Best day on the set of The Front Runner. What was your best day on set?
That's a tough question because my character spends the whole time crying in a corner.
Yes.
Everyone else is like having fun, like shucking and jiving, like,
And you're getting continual makeup touch-ups for your smeared makeup.
Yeah. Probably being on the boat. Doing all the boat stuff was really fun. We filmed in Savannah, and it was really fun doing scenes with Hugh. He's such a nice guy. He's like a fun, positive, awesome guy, and and Jason really like cultivates this intimate family environment on set. So yeah, it was nice to be on the boat and be having a good time with everyone and not be sad and crying.
Last movie that made you cry, speaking of crying.
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. Okay, when you're on a plane,
Yes, you get emotional.
I'll cry no matter what on the plane.
I know.
So, but that being said, I watched Coco, the animated movie.
Yep, that got me too. Also on a plane.
I was crying like crazy. I mean,
Yes.
I was sitting in the middle seat with two like big dudes, like big like tough looking guys next to me, and all three of us started watching Coco at the exact same time. And I was like crying, and I was like, oh my God. And then I look over and this guy's crying too, and I look over and this guy's crying too. And I was like, we're all crying for Coco.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Worst audition story.
So many. Just like, gosh, there really are so many. The first one that comes to mind is I was a little kid and I had lost like all my front teeth at the same time, which looks really creepy. So I can't go into like a Barbie commercial audition with like all my teeth missing. So my mom is a dentist, so she made me like this little like flipper, like this little fake thing to put in my mouth for my audition, and I was like, oh great. And I was like doing my audition, I was like, Sara Paxton, blah, blah, blah. And then my flipper went and like flew out and hit the camera. And I was like, I just throw myself out. I was like, I'll go. So that was pretty bad.
That's amazing. And, that's something when you're in your 80s, you could have that same audition story.
You're right. I have something to look forward to.
Sara Paxton, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
The movie is The Front Runner. See it. It's out in theaters. Bye.